Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews Saturday Conversation Show, a weekly interview series where I talk to entertainment media personalities and content creators and filmmakers about their work and their love of movies. Today's guest is Titus Paar, a filmmaker, musician, writer, and content creator whose groundbreaking short films in infectious showmanship has made him a must-watch presence on YouTube. And for everyone out there, you could go to @Titus Paar. Check out his YouTube channel. It's where you can find his short films, trailers, music videos, all sorts of great things there. And Titus, I just want to say thank you so very much for joining me today. It's going to be a great chat, and it's a pleasure to see you in the flesh. It's yeah, well, there's Zoom flesh, I might say, in video drone context, maybe.
Zoom flash. Can't you make this introduction to me every time I wake up, man? To just get that ego boost.
I'll record it. I'll
Hello,
record it
all the
and send it
crazy
your way.
movie fans out there. Thanks for watching this shit. We're gonna have some
Well,
fun tonight, right?
we're going to have some rock and rolling fun here. My end of the woods today is Australia Day, so it's a day of celebration here. I got my Mad Max t-shirt on. You got your leathers on, and we're ready to rock and roll. I want to take it back though,
Mm-hmm.
Titus. I'm really curious. When you were a kid, what movies, what did you watch when you were younger that you think had an effect on you as a filmmaker today? What do you remember movies wise, TV wise, that really kind of still sticks with you today in like that you draw inspiration from with the projects that you do currently?
I mean, there's no comparison, right? To the starry eyes, to the feel when you watch something magical for the first time. I mean, I can watch the best movie that's ever been made now at this age. It will never compare to what I felt when I saw Jurassic Park in the
Yeah.
cinemas when my mama smuggled me into the theater to watch this dinosaur movie I couldn't pronounce. And she translated the whole thing. I'm Swedish, by the way, in Swedish. Sorry, all the other people in the theater, but she read it out really loud. And just that experience, the magic eyes, and same when I saw Conan the Destroyer for the first time, also through my mom on a VHS. She said, "You can only watch this with me." I was also young, but I mean, I snuck up and I watched it over and over again. And Arnold was this larger than life. Can a human still is? Can a
Yeah.
human being be this? I mean, it's awesome, that magical presence, everything, and Jaws, Titanic, Braveheart, so many, man, and Silver Fang, a Japanese anime that I've stolen a lot from in my film Fear the Woods, and I mean they all inspired me. So I'm at the point of my life where I want to pay homage to the 15-year-old kid in me and
Mm.
make those popcorn movies, because I'm in my 40s now, but I never want this 15-year-old kid in me to die, and it will never do that until I get too old and want to do political shit or something. I don't know, because I think I want to press I mean cherish the starry-eyed boy that really believed in magic, and I still do. So
I
yeah.
mean, it's really interesting how when I talk to a lot of people around my age, I'm also in my 40s as well, and the movies you mentioned, very similar kind of taste of like the movies that I watched when I was younger as well. Around that time, heavy metal became a real big thing for me as well, which I'm sure I know is for you as well. Was it around that time that you were getting into movies and watching those films with heavy metal become a thing at that time? Especially at that time, I imagine it probably would have been around early to mid 90s. So like the metal scene in that neck of the woods in Europe would have been very prominent because the underground black metal kind of scenes, and then later on the melodic kind of Swedish death metal stuff would have been rolling along as well. So it would have been a real great time to jump into that kind of metal wave as well.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the Swedish wilderness in a really small town where we had like two radio channels, and they only play like pop music. So I was
Mm.
about 12 when I heard my first rock song, and that was I Want It All with Queen. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
what's this? And so then I only listened to Queen, and then someone bought a like Master Puppets album to school, and like, what's this? And then I only listened to to Metallica for a few years, and then I got into Machine Head and Slipknot and all those bands. And then I discovered, when I was in like college, I discovered black metal, and the black metal video, especially for like Cradle of Filth.
Mm.
Those videos, man, seeing them as a 15, 16-year-old kid, I mean, they blow you away. The darkness, the cool stuff. So I've taken a lot of those, the feeling when you watch those 90s black metal videos and the aesthetics. I think that's never really been translated into a movie. So I did that in a fantasy film I did called Legend of Dark Rider.
Yeah.
That was made before Game of Thrones. So I wanted to make like a barbarian dark fantasy coming from where I am in like the Swedish wilderness with snow and everything, and mixing it with the black metal aesthetic and some Japanese storytelling and old Conan and all that. So that was a mishmash. And then Game of Thrones came and like, yeah, that's pretty similar. But before that, I hadn't seen anything really like it.
Did you remember the first time you started kind of dabbling into the idea of making your own films, making your own short films? Did you do other things? Were you drawing? Were you making comic books? Were you writing stories? I mean, what was it? What was those kind of first initial creative outputs you had that kind of led up to the filmmaker you are today?
I think I'm born to be a filmmaker because as long as I remember, I mean, when people were out playing in the woods, I wasn't playing. I was making my stories and directing my friends to do this. And look at the hills. There's like 100 million samurais coming, and you got to do this, and like trying to make it like a story. And I was making movies already then when I was like 8,
Mm,
with my camera and like writing scripts and stuff. And I made my first short film when I was 12. And then I made my first feature film when I was only 15, and
mm.
became the youngest filmmaking in Scandinavian history to release a theatrical film. So, I mean, I've done it all my life. And I started out being an actor when I was 6.
That's
And
right. Yeah. On stage, right?
yeah, on stage, yeah. But I knew when I watched Arnold and all this that it was movies I really wanted to make it into. So, and I also, I mean, I realized that no one's going to discover me out here in the Swedish wilderness, so I have to do it myself. So that's why I started making movies and put myself in the like leading roles and all that. But then more and more, I fell in love with making the movies. So now I just do like small cameos and stuff in films. I really enjoy it still. So, but that's not my main goal. My main goal before was to be like the next Arnold. It didn't happen, but that was the aim then.
When it comes to your ideas, do you have ideas books? Do you dream your ideas? How do you come up with the kind of like the ideas you have for your movies and your even your songs going forward? Is it stuff where, for example, do you live in Sweden like in the like you're saying like growing up in the wilderness? Does that kind of project a lot of ideas in your head as to what type of films you want to make and or how you want to make them? Because I imagine having that atmosphere around you would have been really good for the creative juices.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say where an idea comes from. Some of the movies I had, I dreamt. Uh, a lot of the movies, like I'm making a dinosaur versus caveman movie now, and also a Fear of the Woods about bear hunters in Alaska in the 90s. Both those movies were part of the games I played as a kid with my friends. So
Mm.
I even with those titles, I was sort of acting them out. So they're pretty similar to what I did then, and there was pretty fucking cool concepts. So now I just put my grown up flair into it and what I learned into stories. But those ideas were born already then. Then I can get a sort of an idea from just listening to a song or just thinking about for example, I made a movie called Grandma is a Punk Rocker, which is sort
Hmm.
of a deviation in what I usually do. It's about an old woman growing up and realize she's born to be a punk rocker and try to alternate her life. And that idea came from just thinking how sad it would be to be like an actress in that age, and how boring roles they're always like the mom or the person coming, oh hello. So I really wanted to challenge that age category, and that's where that came from, really. So it's really hard to know where it comes from. I think it comes from magic. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what's the song that Queen did? Was it Could It Be Magic? Is that a Queen song as well
It's
that they
kind
did?
of magic.
That's right, yeah. See, I know some Queen. I want to move on to something I like to call choose between two. It's like a little game I like to play with my guests. Pretty simple premise. I'm going to give you two options. You choose between the two, and you tell me why. And if you want to like just talk about it a little bit, that's all well and good. Are you ready to do choose between two, Titus?
Bring it.
All right, first one. It's going to be a good one. Judas Priest or Iron Maiden?
Oh, not really my thing, either of them, but I would go Maiden, really. I'm not into that classic heavy metal stuff that much. I like
Okay,
more the harder stuff, really.
fair
But
enough.
if I had to choose one, I'd pick Maiden.
From these two, well, Maiden's got the really great the thing about for me the biggest difference between Priest and Maiden has a certain kind of like mythological or folkloric kind of context in its lyrical context as well. So I think it might
Mhm.
be something that would be more up your alley than a Judas Priest would be. Okay, 80s movie showdown. John Milius's Conan the Barbarian or Highlander from 1986.
If you would have Conan the Destroyer in there, I'll pick that one. But I mean, Highlander is great. And that whole thing, how they cast Lambert in that role and didn't realize that he didn't even speak English until
Yeah.
they got upset, is hilarious how that happened. And just getting, but I usually use that as trying to get Sean Connery into a movie
Hmm.
because that film would never have become Highlander if Sean Connery wasn't in it. So I always try to have like a Sean Connery role that you can have a big actor do a few scenes in. So yeah, I like them
What
both.
did
I like them both.
I like them both too. What's really remarkable about Highlander too, like I know they're doing a remake of it. I think the guy who did John Wick is doing a remake of it. But the thing about Highlander that made it such a great film was the soundtrack. The Queen soundtrack to that as well. I think it was just simply fantastic. I don't know how
Yeah.
if you can replicate that in today's day and age. I can't see anyone being
No, I
a
think it
choice like
has
that.
to be without the Queen music for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Um,
what I like about it is that it's so wrong, it becomes right. The whole Queen music in it. It's super cheesy, but also that's what I like about it. So I don't mind the cheese. Cheese is good.
yeah, cheese is really good, especially when it comes to 80s films. I think it's a
Oh, it
prerequisite to
has to
have
be
lots of
cheese.
cheese in there.
It
Yes,
has to be
absolutely.
cheese.
80s music, 80s movies, absolutely all the way. Okay, action movie Titan showdown, or action hero Titan showdown, I should say. Dolph Lundgren or Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I gotta go with Dolph. I know him. We were gonna make a movie together. He's also Swedish. We're gonna make a few movies. We still will someday, right, Dolph? We have to do it. He was gonna be in my Steven Seagal movie, but that didn't really happen because of
Did
Seagal.
Seagal 96 that, did he? He didn't want anything to do with
Yeah, no,
Dolph?
Seagal was gonna be the villain, and Dolph was gonna be the hero, and Seagal didn't like that. And at the time, Seagal had a little bit more value, so
Hmm.
he crushed that. But I really wanted a Dolph versus Seagal movie. That would have been just a dream.
I think you directing Dolph in a period action film like you've had done with like We Hunt Giants or films like that, I think would be a great match. I think it would be perfect for like a movie like that. I think that's always been a movie I think I don't remember seeing it in his filmography yet. A movie like that where it's kind of like a action adventure period film, like set in his homeland. I don't think I've seen that yet. I might have missed it, but I don't think I have yet. I think you're the man to bring that to fruition.
Well, I intend. I never told this to anyone, but I tend to bring him into Legend of Dark Rider, the franchise, as like the general of an army in just black
Mm.
armor, stone faced with scars, and just being a brute that never smiles and just lost all his humanity and all that. Who could be better than Dolph?
Oh, that would be awesome. Physical media or streaming?
Like a DVD thing?
Like as in like a DVD, Blu-ray, like you have it in your hand and it's part of your collection, or you go onto Netflix and you watch a movie that way.
I usually I would say that like the DVD and all stuff, but then you put now you put a DVD in and it's just the just stops and stare at yeah, all the scratches and all that. So it's kind of nice to not have to go through all the discs and look at the commercials and all and just press plays. I would pick streaming now actually.
Last one. You're at the cinema, popcorn or candy as
Oh,
your
popcorn,
cinema
man.
beverage. You're a popcorn guy?
Popcorn.
Yeah.
Popcorn, man. I love popcorn. None of that stupid shit that you do in the States where we put caramel sauce and shit on it. What's
Uh,
wrong with you?
no. The only thing you
Butter
should
and
put on
salt. That's
popcorn,
all you
butter and
need.
salt. Yeah, that's it. Butter, salt, nothing more. You don't need anything
Yeah,
else
they
on
put
there.
chocolate and sugar. What's wrong with you, America? Come
That's
on,
it's
Trump
greedy.
and
That's what it
candy
is.
on popcorn. Get out of here.
It's greedy. I think you're ruining a good thing if you put anything else on there. All right. Thank you for that. All right, I want to get back. I want to talk about your short films. Um, Legend of the Dark Rider, Fear of the Woods, We Hunt Giants. I mean, other ones as well. Him is they're so excellent when I watch them because it feels like I'm watching a cinematic experience, but encapsulated in like 20 minutes of movie time. And what's great about these is I don't know if this is how you kind of approach your shorts, Titus. They kind of remind me of maybe like an EP from like a great metal band. Like this is going to be 4 songs from an album that's coming out. And if you dig these songs, just wait for the full LP to come out. Is that how you kind of approached your short films that you just put your
Sort of,
first
yeah.
step forward? Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. Because I always make movies from the standpoint of being a fan.
Hmm.
So I make movies that I want to see that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And the film industry is really narrowed and boxed. So if they haven't seen anything they can compare it to, just handing them a script is not enough. You have to show them.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I was trying to get a Legend of Dark Rider made before Game of Thrones, there was like they were like, oh, it's this shit. It's gonna be like Legend of the Seeker or Cena. It's like, no, none of the. It has to be good. It's gonna be like dramatic, maybe like dark stuff in Lord of the Rings. Sort
Hmm.
of, what's the closest I can find, or a little bit like Conan the Barbarian, but not. So I
Yeah.
realized I can't talk about it. I have to show them, and I had to prove to myself that I could do it. So the way I make these shorts now is to being like a triple threat, really. So I make them as a standalone short
Yeah.
to send to festivals, and because I like doing it, and all that, and it lives a life on its own. But the intent is to have it as a pilot that I can show. Like, do you want more of this? So I really go all in, and all my troops are there with me. I never paid anyone on these movies. We just like a big army of primitives here, and we just come together because we love making movies, and we never spend more than a week in doing them because that's about what time people can do it for free. And then I can have that and show to investors and all that. Then I have a script and a part of the movie. And if I'm really close to shooting, I usually shoot the first like 5 to 20 minutes of the film, and then I made like 10% of the movie already. So then I can just continue filming and like, oh, do you want more of this? Let's just keep on rolling, basically. So it's like a triple threat that I discovered is really helpful, and that's really the way I get my features made now and funded, because I fund all of these things myself, really, from my own salary and pocket, so.
When it comes to the creature designs and the creature effects that you work with, so Fear of the Woods, you had like an animatronic bear that you'll work with in that movie. We Hunt Giants, you kind of, you did the visual effects real because you had a T-Rex. You can't make a, animatronic T-Rex unless you're not Steven, don't have Steven Spielberg budget here, so you have to work with what you got. But when you approach both of them and you put as much as you can into it and you create these things that I think some even big budget movies couldn't even pull off in the way that it's made, the way it's contrasted, the way it's presented on screen. You can't help but, I imagine you can't help but feel like you want to give yourself a big pat on the back, because I think it just looks remarkable how you are able to pull these things off with such, number one, small budget, and number two, also it's kind of like you said before, it's like an army you have behind you. It's done for the passion of the project, and I think that's a really kind of cool way to really approach your filmmaking.
Yeah, I'm really the captain. I mean, but I can't do it without my army of peeps and brothers and sisters that comes out and help me. Maybe I don't have Spielberg's budget and all that, but I did have Spielberg's ILM team on We
Okay.
Hunt Giants. That was done by Andreas Fikes, who did Jurassic World at ILM. So, and he was really the champion of that one. But that's a 7 minute pilot, and we
Mm,
spent a year on the effects alone on
mm,
that, just because I wanted to show that this current model that they're doing in Hollywood is broken. They're
yeah,
spending millions and hundreds of millions on something that I can create for maybe 10 or 20 uh, at the same result and with the same star cast and all that. So that's really what I want to champion, that I can do the same thing with my edge, but with a lot less risk. And the way I want to, because if you don't have that big budget, they're gonna leave me alone, and I can do whatever the fuck I want, which is where I
right.
want to end up. Because that's not the climate in Hollywood that I noticed when I had my little stint in Hollywood making features there.
It's interesting how you're talking about how the system is kind of broken in these kind of inflated budgets, and especially in the past year, kind of like the return on these budgets just wasn't there because people were getting kind of sick of the whole superhero thing and all that. And then all of a sudden you'll get a movie like a Godzilla minus one, which costs 15 million bucks, looks better than the other stuff out there. All of a sudden you have you, Titus, putting together these short films that is made out of passion and love, and like even in a smallest degree of budget compared to all these other stuff. And what that says to me is that, this can be done in a really efficient way and still look good, if not better than anything else out there. Do you think that maybe, considering the last year with a lot of films like losing money over in the States, that maybe this might be a bit of a winds of change coming through, and maybe they might start looking at what you're doing, what the Toho is doing in Japan, and say, you know what, we just need to bring it down, don't make it so inflated with our budgets, and just focus on the craft and focus on the passion behind the craft. Because I think it seems to me that maybe in Hollywood, they just let things go a little too out of control with their budgets and such.
I mean, they should, but I mean, if I know the Hollywood I know, they're not gonna change. I mean,
Right.
it's the same thing when Titanic came out and no one believed in it, and then it was a hit. And how did Hollywood respond to that? Was it like, oh, we gave Cameron free control and he could do whatever he wanted, and he it was his passion project? No, they just realized we need to make more movies about boats. So that's sort of how they think, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm gonna go and invent my own industry because I don't really fit in the Swedish film industry. I don't really fit into the Hollywood one. I fit into my own, and I have this production companies right now that I'm creating all this with that believes in my investment, because all my movies the past 10 years I made a shitload of money for people. So that's usually a good talking point to get investors to like you when they
And
know they're gonna have like 250 ROI on the movie, return of investment. So
And the amazing thing is that for some of these projects, like you've already looking at IP, you're already looking at world building even beyond the feature film. Like there's comic book stuff that you have, music video stuff you have. Like for like I think it was for We Hunt Giants, you had like a black metal video there. I forgot what
it's
was the name
coming.
of
It's
your band
coming.
again?
We're
Yeah,
actually we're
yeah.
actually shooting that video on February the 10th. But we did. I usually do like a track if it
Hmm.
fits that I like to do, because I don't know any director that does like metal tracks for for your film, because I think that's fun to have like in the end credits like a theme song that's about the movie, because I missed that from like the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
So Legend of Dark Rider had that. That's
Yeah.
called Legend of Dark Rider. Now we're doing the We Hunt Giants, Rise Against the Giants called. So
And
It's
what
not
was the name
really
of your
scary.
band? Was it Army of Primitives that you did
Yeah, that's my
some music?
band.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah.
band. It's just me, and I work with different people basically. But that's
And
like the
you
banner.
got and also regarding like all the stuff that you kind of put together as well. Where do you think your leverage comes from above everyone else? Because we talked about the passion, but where else do you think it is? Do you think it comes down to location as well, where you are in regards to you have access to a nature and wilderness that when it comes to making the films you want to make and the settings you want to make, you just look out in your backyard and you're like, hey, I got all of this to work with out here. And of course, it comes down to, time-wise, weather-wise, because I know you were supposed to do your feature, a length version of Behind Giants, and then COVID hit and it kind of broke everything down. And you were like, I got to wait for it to get snow again. So it's going to be another year or so and then get back into that. Is that
Yeah.
something, is like have been your backyard and your environments and the snows and fjords and all these things, these are an advantage for you, right? Against other people who don't have that.
I think nature is accessible to everyone. I really don't like studios. I'm in a studio
Mm.
now, so I'm full of shit, obviously. But I love to be on location. I love to be uncomfortable, and I love to treat it like a boot camp. And a
Yeah.
lot of my crew that only makes one film and then they're out because it's too hard. But the core group is there, and we really enjoy the challenge because I love small like guerrilla crews because that's all you can handle. You can't handle a big army out in like this much snow because you just become slow. So I want good people that can deliver what three people can do on
Mm.
their own. That's what I do. On all these things, I was the only director. I was the only producer. I was the line producer. I was taking care of of what people ate, what they transportation, getting the equipment, everything at the same time. Which is I don't recommend this to anyone, but that's the only way I could do it on this budget because We Hunt Giants. I spend 10 grand on that
Yeah.
out of my own pocket, and that's really nothing because we made Jurassic Park in snow,
Mhm.
basically, which is ridiculous. But that's the only way to get these things made. I'm not gonna do that again because I've proven myself over and over and over, and now I have features in the works. We were actually gonna shoot Fear of the Woods now, but the SAG strike went on for too long, so we lost this window opportunity, which is the downside of filming in snow because you only have a small window. So now we
Mhm.
have to wait till November. But then we're setting sail with Kellen Lutz from Twilight and Expendables. We're finally getting to make our movie together, and we've been talking about that for like 5 years to do something together. So
And
that and
is he going to be in Fear the Woods? Is that what the
Fear of
movie
the
you
Woods,
two are
yeah,
doing together? Yeah. Oh, awesome.
he's gonna be
Excellent.
the sheriff in the
Awesome.
town. That one. And
Great.
obviously your pal down under Vernon Wells is going to be in it again, and a few other exciting names that I haven't dropped yet.
Well, that sounds exciting because I was going to ask what would be out of the shorts that you had, which one would be the has the most potential to become a feature in the near future. I guess Fear the Woods would be the first one off the block then.
That's the first one, yeah, because we already had sales and everything on that film. So yeah, that one's packaged and ready to go with cast and all that. The Kellen Lutz thing leaked into media, so I can talk about it, but that was kept under wraps for a while. But we have the same agent in the
Hmm.
States, so and we've been talking about making this for a long time, and that's really like a mix of Jaws, but with a bear and snow, and
Yeah.
a little bit of Stranger Things with a teenage crew and all that. So it's a fun throwback popcorn creature movie, which I really enjoy and miss in the market.
Still going to be Alaska 1992 as your setting.
Yep,
Awesome. Excellent.
yep.
Um, something else I kind of picked up on with your work, especially regards to the short films that we've been talking about, is that a lot of the uh, protagonists in your films in the settings as well had to do with like the past, men of the past, kind of like culture of the past, folklore of the past as well. How important is that to you to kind of keep delving into the history of your own, whether it be your own culture or other cultures as well, and delving into those pasts, into those histories, and presented those stories. Because I haven't necessarily seen a contemporary story from you yet, not recently. I think Him maybe is the closest thing, but that was based on your girlfriend's book, is that right? At the time,
Yeah.
Him was. But these other ones are like very much like period pieces. So, and does black metal play a big part of that as well? Because I know the black metal music, I think what people get wrong with black metal is they put the satanic tag on it. But what I find about black metal is it has to do more with culture and folklore and mythology more than anything else. They're talking about tales of past in their own kind of cultures. Is that something that kind of influences the way that you approach setting and approach character and etc. In your movies?
I mean, I steal and borrow, but what I really like to do is just create my own folklore. That's what I really enjoy, rather than just basing it on history and stuff. I mean, I can steal a little bit from there and get inspired by Viking folklore and all that. But what I really like to do is to spend years creating what is my universe looks like. That's what I really get turned on by, because then I'm in a position of a god that I can create all this character only from my own rules. I don't have to worry about fact checking anything because it's all me. I'm the boss of this world and I can do whatever the fuck I want and no one can say I'm wrong because it's in fantasy, right? So that's really what I enjoy. And yeah, just building from that really is what I enjoy. And black metal, what I enjoy about it, it's so fucking cinematic.
Yeah, it
I
is.
love.
Absolutely.
So when I'm writing, I always tailor like a soundtrack of the feel I want the film to have. So when I'm writing Legend of Dark Rider, I'm just listening to very symphonic black metal, and to get into that headspace, when I'm listening when I'm writing for Fear of the Woods, I listen to like 90s alternative rock, for example, to get into that feel and how it felt like back in the days. And yes, contemporary's nice, but my style is sort of to take something that you have seen before, that you recognize, and mix it with something you haven't seen before. So mixing those two, that's sort of my style. And the only red thread is usually that I like everything about it.
All right, I want to move on to a different game I do now. It's called Rapid Fire Questions. I'm just going to throw some questions your way. You give me your answer. You can talk a bit about it as well. But it's more like a kind of thing. The first thing kind of pops into your mind when I ask you it. Are you ready for it?
Yes. Sorry for all the
Okay.
nasty things I'm about to say. I usually go to dark places when I don't have time to think.
Well, the first question might do that for you. Scariest moment in a movie.
Scariest movie. Oh wow. I'm thinking like Hellraiser 2.
Mm,
Uh with the guy that's crazy and she gives him the razor blade and you see all the
yeah,
maggots.
yeah.
That's just gross, man. And anything with snakes freaks me out.
Snakes.
Anything.
Okay, interesting. Would you
Oh
ever
man, I'm
consider doing
terrified of
something with a
snakes.
giant snake movie or something like that?
Giant snakes are fine. It's more the creepy small ones that sort of
Yeah, yeah.
chases you, and then always my legs go up in the couch when I watch that.
Favorite Elvis Presley song?
Elvis Presley song.
Hmm.
Uh, if I can dream, oh please make my dream come true right now. That one.
That's a great song from the 68 comeback special. One of my favorites. I got that
Yeah.
DVD. I watch it now and again. Actually quite a phenomenal song, that when you think about it, because
Oh yeah.
he's just letting it all out. People tend to forget how good of a singer he was, I think.
Oh yeah. Especially
He's
live when he got into that zone of
Oh yeah.
just
When you got
being
into
there.
like the with the karate moves and everything else, is fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
that's when that's what I love to end up when I do anything really, when it's acting, writing, where the world just disappears and you're just in there. And
yeah.
that really gets me there with music. I mean, I can sit there right in a coffee shop, and I'm just, the world disappears and people look at me because I'm like weeping and like, oh, things are crazy. But I'm just in that Elvis same zone. Like I'm creating something that I'm just in the moment, and that's where you want to end up with anything, really, where you get out of your own head and just make something really special.
If you could adapt any comic book into a feature film, which one would it be?
Wow, those old like black and white Conan
Hmm.
things were pretty cool, weren't they?
I think so.
Or my own comic book, Legend of Dark Rider, of course.
I was going to say you can't use your own. I was going to say that, but I forgot to put
Oh,
that
you didn't
caveat.
say
But
it, so
it's out there.
sorry.
But the thing that kind of is really surprising to me is you mentioned before Legend of Dark Rider, how it's before Game of Thrones. But it's interesting to me how when it came to those big kind of sweeping swords and sandals, action kind of filmmaking, how it went from the big screen to the small screen.
Yeah.
And I don't really get it, to tell you the truth, because for me, movies like that and the things that inspired them, like the comic books you talk about, like the classic Conan comic books and other ones of those ilk, those are, I think those should be big screen experiences. And I think it's something that
Mm.
you're trying to bring back.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of like producers say when I pitch Legend of Dark Rider, that it should be a series. I'm like, no, read the
Yeah.
script. It's perfect as a feature, and then we have like a trilogy. Because I mean, I grew up. Another favorite of mine that sort of inspired this was Jason and the Argonauts, which is a
Mm.
fucking masterpiece with all the special effects and all that. Yeah, that's what you remember, but also the feeling, the tale of heroism and all those tales. And I really enjoy ensemble pieces. I
Mm.
get bored really easy when it's just one hero you follow. Uh, I like when it becomes like a brotherhood and there's a lot of different interesting characters working together. That's what I really enjoy.
Is that why do you think Conan the Destroyer has a big influence on that? Because it's not only Arnie, it's Arnie with Grace Jones and Will Chamberlain, and there's other characters as well. That like that's almost like a swords and sandals a Magnificent Seven kind of deal there, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like a whole group of them
Bear
going
in
on a
mind, I
mission.
haven't seen that in the like adulthood. Like from what I remember, that's what I really enjoy the back then, and the sorcery and
Yeah,
all
of
that.
course.
I just like the feeling of that at the time and the whole journey and all that.
Who's your
But
favorite
what I
director?
wanted to do with Legend of Dark Rider, that was before Game of Thrones, also was um because I think they had like Clash of the Titans and those movies were
Mhm.
out.
They
And
did, yeah.
I was like, this is just about people going on quests, sexy, like muscular people going on quests to save the world or a woman. I'm sick and tired of quests. So I wanted
Mm.
to like make this more like a character piece and add a lot of mystery into it. That's what I really was lacking in the fantasy genre, was the mystery and
Yeah.
sort of dwelling into the darkness of it rather than just being people flexing and killing big scorpions or whatever it could be, like without any real purpose.
And I think with those films as well, a real lack of atmosphere as well. You really need to have
Mm.
that atmosphere because if you're going to venture into those worlds, a world needs to have a texture to it. And I think those films just didn't really pull it off, kind of like how the classic films did. Who's your favorite film director?
I mean, I always go to like Spielberg, Cameron, and Tarantino.
Hmm.
Uh, I well, especially Cameron, I would say, because I really appreciate someone that writes their own scripts, and
Hmm.
he never gets enough credit for. I mean, this guy wrote Terminator 1 and 2, The Abyss, Titanic, True Lies, and Avatar. Those are pretty good scripts
I think
as
so
well.
too.
So I
And
mean, he creates those worlds. I respect that so much more than someone just being handed a script and goes and direct it. I think that's a lot cooler. It's so much more you.
last one, favorite black metal band.
Wow. Can't say my own, I guess.
No, can't say your
I
own.
really,
Caveat.
I like the big ones. I mean, I love Cradle of Filth still, the whole cinematic thing. Dimmy Borger as well.
Mm.
Uh, Grey Worm, and yeah, those.
Well, but
I like these bigger bands. I'm not into like the Norwegian that much, like the Mayhem and all those.
Dark Throne and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I want the production value, and I want the orchestra in my black metal. In
Mm.
like death metal and stuff, I can go a lot harder, and like metalcore and all that. I don't mind the lesser instruments and all that. But when it comes to my black metal, I want the big operatic stuff.
Yeah. I guess maybe a band like Emperor or Immortal or stuff like that. Maybe they have that kind of thing to it. A little bit of a
Yeah.
more atmosphere to the stuff. But Cradle of Filth I love as well because I really enjoy how Danny Filth kind of takes a lot of these kind of like literary influences, literature influences, I
Mm.
should say, and like I like puts them into his music, Tales of Bathory and stuff like that. I think that's really cool stuff to
Yeah,
really
especially when
dive
you
into.
put it in a video. That's where
Yeah.
black metal really shines, in a good
Mm.
video. Because those really matches so beautifully when the right sort of dark visual and that comes together with the black metal, because it's so cinematic, the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a real great kind of ominous kind of like horror kind of aspect to it as well, I think, because of the
Mm,
themes and everything else. And it, like in the band members themselves kind of feel like I think sometimes with certain genres of metal, the band members kind of look cookie cutter, but with black metal and a couple others, like they seem like characters, the larger life characters. They put on their gear and have the
mm.
spikes and the corpse paint and all that. It's pretty cool stuff. Um, last thing I want to dive into is I want to talk about your approach to how you market your stuff, how you talk about your stuff, how you go on YouTube and you kind of like, you talk about your career and everything else, and there's always like an aspect of showmanship to it. You want to make sure that when you are on screen, you want to leave an impact, and it's important because when you leave an impact, they remember you, they remember what you're talking about, your films, etc. How important is it
Mm.
to you to make sure that when you're dealing with the entertainment industry, you bring in the entertainment to the masses, even if it's through your own personality? Because I think you and I were talking off air prior we started. Like I struggle myself to kind of bring my own personality out and try to, you know, market myself. I think sometimes I might think might be I don't know a cultural thing because in Australia we're not big on that kind of stuff. So but I want to do more of it. And when I watch you and I listen to your interviews, you always leave an impact. You know that Titus Paar has been there talking. You know, it's like we see the remnants of it. How important is that to make sure that you do uh, bring that entertainment, sports showmanship, entertaining showmanship to the masses when you are promoting your products and promoting your movies?
That's a good question. I mean, that's everything to me. Not only when I'm on camera, that's all my life's philosophy. If you meet me, you got to remember that you met me.
Mhm.
And it's the same with my grandpa. He was this larger than life characters as well, Titus Paar the older. And I want to present myself as a rock star, to have that sort of image. It's not a fake thing. I live like this. I talk like this. Obviously not when I'm in my sweatpants watching TV, but I'm no interested in showing you that. Um, so I always want to go all in, and this is part of the entertainment.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not trying to sell this. I'm just trying to entertain you, and
Mm.
while doing that, it gives you, because the last thing anyone want to look at, and then I really stress this to filmmakers: don't be so fucking boring in
Right.
interviews, because 99% of the filmmakers interviews are really boring, and they look really uncomfortable, and they have no idea what to say and all that. Who want to watch that shit? I want to be entertained. I want to learn something. I want to gain something, and I want to have some fun watching this. So it's super important, and I love doing it as well. And I really go all in. So I'll be exhausted after this. so but,
And I think
so
it's an
no, I
important
really like
point
to
to
put in
make.
an effort. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an important point to make because I think when people like if you're going to ask the average person on the street, name me 5 filmmakers, they're going to name the ones who really have a certain amount of personality to them and a certain amount of showmanship to them. Like they're going to say Tarantino, they're going to say maybe Scorsese. Scorsese is just really passionate about everything, just goes mouth and stuff. They're going to talk about people like that, or maybe a Mel Gibson or something like that. These are the ones that can stick to mind because when they talk about their films and they're out there talking, it's not necessarily a what's it called again? It's not a television shopping experience where they're a pitch man. It's about the passion, and that's where it all
Yeah,
comes down to, I think.
definitely part of the game is doing this
Yeah.
and learn to enjoy it. I really enjoy this. And this is not like a fake persona I put on or anything like that. I just turn it up a little notch, but I make movies that's larger than life because I am larger than life, and I
Yes.
always been. So I can make a really like low key, realistic drama. There's people that does that a lot better than me. Anything I try to do small just ends up being epic anyway. So why fight it?
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be a toned down guy. I'm always gonna be like this. So my art should, or my entertainment, or whatever you want to call it, should mimic that because I live the way I make my movies, basically, and the way we make them. That's why I don't want to be in a studio being comfortable because I want to go out there and I want to give it all. I'm fucking knackered at the end of the day, just passing out somewhere. But that's what I enjoy about it. I want to go all in, and I want you to notice that we went all in.
Well, I got to say, like, I'm feeling it over here too. I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling pumped up because I just spent a good hour with the great Titus Paar talking about his films, talking about his career, talking about so many things. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today, Titus. I can't wait to see how these shorts become into these features because, Fear of the Woods and We Hunt Giants and Dark Ride, like all these, they're just fantastic works, really. And to hear the news about Kellen and Vernon Wells being back as well with Fear the Woods. I can't wait to see how this goes. And as soon as this stuff's up and running and ready to go, I'd love to talk to you again about it, man. Because it's I think it's going to be I think they're going to be great films. And I'd love to talk to you again about them because yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you. Likewise, it's been a blast. And I love Australia. I used to live there for 2 years.
No
Miss
way,
it
really?
every time. I always got eaten by sharks. I kept out of them.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
no.
Well, that's a story for a different time. Now, if you're a filmmaker out there, don't watch me. Go out and make your fucking movie. Don't wait for anyone. Just go out and film it. I never have money or anything like that. So get out of your own way. Stop making excuses. Go out and film your stuff now.
Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content.